Welcome back to the Snod Pod with John Snodgrass, your mortgage resource where we're talking real estate, mortgages, Madison real estate, and beyond. I've got Luke Bruckner from Bunbury & Associates, one of the top realtors up in Madison. We're going to chat a little investment properties and Airbnbs that he has. Luke, thanks for sticking around for another episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. Well, hey, I forgot one topic on the last episode. Just maybe we'll start with that. Mm-hmm. When I had referred you some customers, they were doctors moving from like Vancouver. And so I was like, oh, call my buddy Luke in Madison. And they were just like, they just trusted you. You just like did some FaceTime with them. I think they might even got the first house or second house that you looked at. Are you still seeing that kind of Zoom call or FaceTime call? And then second part, are you a little nervous? Like, doing that? Like, he's like, what if,
absolutely.
What if you miss like a stain or some crack? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's all about trust. So when I talked to them the first time, I just told them the market. Houses come on the market on Thursday and they're gone by Monday. So you're in Vancouver. There's no way you're going to get here in time.
Yeah.
And if you do get here in time, they might even be gone.
Yeah.
So we talked about their options because they were a little nervous. And I said, here's the deal. We're going to do a FaceTime. I'm going to walk through this house with you. Any house, and I'm going to point everything out. And everybody, whenever I show them houses, they go, Luke, do you hate every house? No, I don't hate every house. But I'm pointing everything out.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the last guy, Spencer, that was in here, the home inspector.
Yeah.
18 years I've been following home inspectors around.
Yeah.
I've been watching and seeing what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And so when I walk through a house, I'm pointing everything out that I can possibly see. And whether or not it's a big deal to them, it's up to them. I just want to tell them. So we're doing these FaceTimes and I'm zooming in on things and showing them stuff that might be of concern, maybe a crack in a basement or something like that. And, the other thing too, it's they really can't set foot in the house. So I have to tell them, hey, maybe this bedroom is a little small, or, they're not really
going to see.
Yeah, get the feel of it.
Yeah.
So, your clients that you referred to me, they trusted me and we got the first house. It was great. And they love it.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it. And I tell people, I'm like, if I see something that I don't like, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And we are seeing that happen quite a bit. The last one we were talking about, 2 clients that called me this week, and I told them, because they're both, one's from New Jersey, and I think the other one is from somewhere by Alabama.
Okay.
And I said, there's no way you're going to get here. If you book the ticket, try to get here, that house will be gone.
Yeah.
We have to try different things. And I just said, if you're comfortable, we'll do FaceTime.
Yeah.
But I told them, why don't you come up here for a weekend? Neither of them have ever been to Madison. They just want to move there. And I said, we'll take a drive around. We'll take a look, show you some areas around Madison. Maybe we'll look at a couple of houses. You'll sort of get a feel for how I do things.
Yeah.
And then you can decide whether you're comfortable with a FaceTime or a video call or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but that's the only way if you're living that far away. You can't get on a plane.
Yeah.
Get here, look at the house, make a decision, have your husband or his wife come. It's never good.
You got kind of like a calming, honest vibe about you, so I can see why they trust you.
Well, and just be well, at least somebody does. Well, it is all about just pointing things out.
Sure,
and that's what, whether or not we're standing next to each other or we're on a phone call.
It's about trust.
Yeah, you got to just. I mean, we've been through. My wife and I have remodeled, I think, 10 or 12 houses.
Oh wow.
And so going through that and being part of that, like opening up a wall and seeing why, but you get the feel for things.
Yeah.
So it helps having done that many times.
So that's a good transition into, your
help
properties. Thank you. I noticed that. Google it. I love it. So when we were at dinner the other night, you had mentioned you've got, I think, 4 kind of regular long-term investment properties, and then you've got 2 Airbnbs. Okay.
Yep.
So maybe let's start with the 4 investment properties.
Sure.
What are you looking for when you're buying a house? Is it a 2-unit, long-term investment, single family? What is it?
All of mine are single families.
Single family.
And I don't know why I got into single families.
Okay.
The first one we bought was behind our house on the west side of town that we sold in 2016.
Okay.
We had a super small yard and it came up for sale and my wife wanted a bigger yard. We had 3 dogs.
Okay.
So we bought that house and we just started working on it. And it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath with like 850 square feet. Okay. Tiny house.
Yeah.
Great location though. And we ended up moving the fence, made our yard bigger, and we had that for a rental. And then we just kind of kept going. And we just buy these houses. That was the only 2-bedroom. Most of them are 3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Okay.
They're not big, but they're in locations that people just want to be in. And there's hardly any houses come up for sale there.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people are like, oh, Luke's buying these houses out from under clients. I actually showed all these houses multiple times and tried getting people to buy them.
Okay.
And they wouldn't. I said, well, I'll buy it.
Got it.
And some of them have weird floor plans. Some of them have, that we've redone all of them. Okay. New kitchens, new bathrooms, stuff like that. But for some reason, people just don't want to buy them to live in them.
Yeah.
But they'll rent them.
Yeah.
And they'll pay a lot for them.
Sure.
Which is great. And they're, like I said, it's all about location. And I try to get over 2 bedrooms, but if you run across a 2-bedroom, it works.
Sure.
So
who are you targeting?
Most of the people that rent those are like young professionals. They're not students.
So you're not trying to get students.
No. And these are like one of them, and she's moving out this year. She's been there for 4 years. She's she was in nursing school.
Okay.
So she's moving away now. And then other people, they're all either, going to school or they're, working, trying to buy a house or whatever, and they can afford quite a bit. So, and they're great tenants. And I have it worked out where I own the house, but you do everything else.
Okay.
You're paying the utilities, you're taking care of the yard. But if something happens, they can always call me.
Yeah.
It's nice when some guy, I've had a few people that have been like, hey, the water heater was leaking, so I got it fixed and it was $200. Can I take it off the rent?
Yeah.
Perfect. You're the best. I don't have to do anything.
Oh, man. I should have called you. I wish I would have called you when I was renting my condo, 3-bedroom condo overlooking Lake Michigan, Brady and Prospect.
Yeah.
And I've rented to like some kind of like quasi-students still, maybe like 23 girls, and they just destroyed it, man, and cats, and they weren't supposed to have it.
It's tough when you get a bad renter. We've been really lucky. I mean, we've been like we check backgrounds, do all that stuff, and we get good renters.
You're like a credit check?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Zillow Rental does it all for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We put it on there and it takes care of everything for us. And then it like just puts out this big report. This is the background. This is everything. And I don't think it costs anything. They pay an application fee and then Zillow does it. And it just works out great.
Got it.
So Ashley, my wife handles most of it. Okay. Unless there's a problem, then I got to step in. She doesn't like taking care of that stuff. So we haven't had any problems. And, we've had people that let's say it's $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
You see their income is $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be able to pay any other bills if you're paying that much.
Right.
So we've kind of had to give bad news to people. And
hey, we can't.
It just isn't going to work, so.
Debt to income ratio.
Yeah. This is
my world.
I mean, we're eating ramen noodles for God knows how long.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're selling a property, are you immediately trying to buy another one, or are you just taking your gain, or what's your strategy there, or are you selling them?
Well, we sold one, and it seemed like we got crazy people in that house.
Okay.
And it was just over and over again. And I said, that was our first one that was behind our old house.
Okay.
And I just said to my wife, I'm like, let's sell this place. I'm like, every time we get a renter in here, they're nuts.
Some vibe.
It's just something weird. I'm like, and we sold it to a nice single woman. She loves it. Absolutely loves the location. And so that was our first, putting it into an Airbnb. We took the profits from that and bought another one.
Got it. So you're just holding on to it. You're going right away.
Yeah. And we tried doing a 1031 exchange where you take the profits and put it into something else, but it's so tough to do that. You have
a certain amount of time.
You got 45 days to get an accepted offer and then 6 months to close on it. And you could only name 3 properties, and it was almost impossible.
Okay.
So we ended up paying the taxes on it and just threw the money into the next one.
Yeah. Got a game.
But we typically don't sell them. Okay. We like holding on to them.
I like your transition now into the Airbnb. I love it. You know where I'm going.
That's right.
You got one Airbnb in Madison. I think you said you have one that you do up north.
Nope. We have two. We've got 2 Airbnbs in Monona, which is kind of like a close suburb of Madison.
Sure.
So the first one I bought was at a sheriff's auction during COVID. And it was like right when they started doing auctions again. And I showed up and, you got to do your background search on these things like you wouldn't believe. So because if they come with any back taxes or liens or anything, that's your responsibility.
Oh, wow.
So I go down there and there's one other guy sitting there and no one was bidding for a little bit, which makes you a little uneasy. Like, man, did I miss something? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So finally he bids and then it was on. And I ended up getting it. Never been in the house, walking it for the first time. And it's, it's what I expected. It needs a lot of updating.
It's a dump.
So we went through it. Yeah, it's a dump, big time. So, but we got, we went through and I was planning on doing long term. And one of my friends said, hey, did you check on Monona's Airbnb rules? And at the time, there were no rules whatsoever.
Okay.
So we furnished it, which obviously costs a lot more money.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, My wife loved it because she could take all of our furniture that we've had for years, put it in there, and then she could buy new stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just a great deal for her.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it started going, and we know nothing about it. Put it on Airbnb, put it on VRBO, and it's just immediately we're getting hits like that.
Okay.
People booking it. We got a cleaner that's in there. She's got 4 hours in between, and it's gone well. So we bought another one.
Yeah.
And that one is gone. It's a little bit bigger, and that one's gone really well. Can sleep a little more. We're actually getting more bookings on that one.
Okay.
Now, Monona has changed some of their laws.
Yeah.
So I'm working on getting grandfathered back to where I was able to run it before, where you could rent it any way you wanted. Now they change
2 nights here, or
one night or whatever.
Okay.
And you got to be careful. Sometimes you get people coming in that want to have a party, and we've had that before. I had somebody who lives very close, and she was from a nearby city, and all of a sudden she wants to rent for one night. And I just said, hey, this is right near the police station. All the neighbors know it's an Airbnb. And she said, can I cancel? Yeah, absolutely. Prefer it.
Yeah.
So, but it's been going really well. I mean, they make a lot more money than the long term. There is more, significantly more money.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, like, that was the next question I was going to ask was like, what's the misconceptions because I feel like there's a negative misconception out there online or in the public about Airbnbs. Well,
as a owner, you understand you're doing a lot more work. I mean, this is the long term. Basically, we're just sitting there and not doing anything. We collect our rent and pay our mortgage, and that's it.
Yeah.
Airbnb, you're coordinating. You've got your calendar that's online. You're telling the cleaner when to come in. You're making sure people understand when a lot of people are coming to mow lawns because they're in the house, and what if they got a dog and the guy opens the gate and the dog runs away?
Right.
So there's a lot more coordinating.
Okay.
And typically you're not going to get people that wreck the house. And I think that's what, you hear those horror stories like, hey, there was a huge orgy or something like that. That's not what happens. We had, what was it, last month? We had a family that came in, and the daughter was giving the mom a kidney or something like that, and they had to stay for like 10 days so they could go back to the hospital.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of families, a lot of, and people ask, hey, we want to have a, family gathering. We want to have 10 people over. And I have pretty strict rules. Hey, we don't need to have parties, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Had people that said, we want to have a fire pit. We'll buy it and bring it over. I'm like, absolutely not. Yeah. I usually blame that on insurance.
Yeah.
So. But there's, as long as you're running them right and you're hands-on with it, you're going to be good. What you really need to know is what the municipality allows.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into next,
Because that can be a big problem. Now that Monona's changing theirs, we have had to alter how we rent ours. They want no less than 7 days, and you can only rent 180 days a year. Oh. So if you start on April 1st, that's the start of your 180 days. Okay. And then when that's over, then you can no longer rent it short term, which is under 30 days.
Okay.
So when clients ask about wanting to buy Airbnbs, I said, well, what are those locations? And I make the call. And the first question I ask them is, can this be an investment property, or does it have to be owner occupied? And if it's an owner occupied, then, if they're just looking at it for investment, then we don't look in that area anymore. That's the last question I need. But if they say, yeah, it can be an investment, then you ask, how long can you rent for? Meaning, what's the minimum amount of days? And can you rent it all year round? Do you have to live in the area? There's a bunch of questions you need to ask just so you know what you're getting into.
Got it.
Because you'd hate to buy it thinking you're going to make a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden, you can't.
What about like is the municipality taxing you like a hotel? They are.
Yeah.
Just curious, like what? I know probably everyone's a little different, but Monona, what are they?
So Airbnb pays all the taxes.
Oh.
So I really don't know.
Worked into the price you come up with.
And they send it right into Monona or whatever municipality.
You don't have to deal with it.
No, nice. It's great. The money that you get, taxes have all been paid on it. So it's awesome. And Monona just recently added an 8% tax. Okay. I think what they're trying to do is filter out the people that are going to be kind of like they're not going to be around.
Pros versus amateurs.
Yeah, and people that are just throwing it out there. Yeah. There have been some problems with cars parked on the streets, plows can't get by, stuff like that. So they just want to make sure, hey, you're around, you're going to be watching this and taking care of things. Yeah. And they charge a little more, hey, if you're doing well and you know what you're doing, that 8% is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
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 So it's, and they can always change that. And that's what I always tell clients is whatever their laws are, that can be changed at any time. Yeah.
So you got to be ready.
You got to be ready for that. And what's the worst case scenario? If they do change it, you turn it into the long term.
So do you get like I mean, is there a fine if they found out, like, hey, because Madison football games, I'm sure, are a big moneymaker, where people want to come in maybe Friday to Monday or Thursday to Monday. I mean,
they'll fine you.
Okay. I was going to say, what if you went under the 7 days?
Yeah, so one of my buddies built a place down by our house in McFarland, and he had no idea what the restrictions were, and he just started renting it. And he rented it for one night for $450, and he got a fine for $500. And then he realized, oh God,
they're paying attention.
They're paying attention to this, and he didn't even know what the restrictions were.
Yeah.
So yes, there are fines. You just have to be aware of what you're doing.
I'm thinking the city's got like a Milton from Office Space. Just
where's my stapler?
Yeah, where's my stapler? And he's keeping an eye on things.
Yeah,
he's looking to bust.
They've got some different programs online that they can use to kind of track that, and then they also have, I guess you'd kind of call it almost like a, what do they call that back in the day? Like a secret shopper.
Yeah.
They'll have people that'll come through and, kind of try to book something, see what you're doing.
Okay.
So, as long as you're on the up and up with things, I think you'll be fine. But they're pretty fun.
What's the split? I mean, is that okay to share a split? Like what you're getting in Airbnb? Like what do you if you're renting a place for?
They don't, Airbnb doesn't take a whole lot.
Okay.
VRBO takes more.
Okay.
So I've increased the price on VRBO on all these. So if people book through that, then
I'm always looking at both.
Yeah.
Because I've used it from a, travel standpoint. I love it. I've never had an issue.
And we've had great luck with Airbnb and VRBO, but you just see the difference in pricing. And it's not that much, $100, $150. But it's just one of those things where you're like, I'm going to go with Airbnb,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I guess one last thing I've thought about renting my place for maybe like the Republican National Convention's happening in Milwaukee for a week. Like my wife, should we just throw ours up?
Yeah.
And then go to Door County? And I'm like, well, that would kind of eat into our profits.
Yeah.
I mean, for like a real like one-off, or if the Bucks get the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You get out of town for a week. You think I could make anything? Or
oh, yeah.
I could.
We have some friends that from up north by our cabin in Manitowish that have place in Monona.
Yeah.
And they're on the water. It's not the best, it's a great house. The location is right on a kind of a busier road, but they get a ton of money. Last time, I think it was somewhere around Christmas, they went to Aruba because someone rented their place for like a significant amount for the week.
Okay.
So there can be money to be made doing that, but you have to remember people are going to be in your house. And you got to take all your stuff and put it somewhere or be comfortable with people, going through that.
The other thing we thought about was we like to travel. So we just went to Spain for 2 weeks over Christmas, and we thought about doing it then too. Hey, why not make some money while we're gone? And then we went to Scotland for 2 weeks, a while back. So we've thought about it, but we just haven't taken the plunge. So you bring up some good points. You could. So it sounds like you can make some money, but
your significant other's got to be ready for it. It seems like like my wife, no way. She's like, we would have to basically like nail the door shut on all the closets and everything.
Okay.
It is weird just thinking about people being in your house. But yeah, I mean, if you just moved into a place, or let's say you were a single guy and you're traveling a lot and you just had a closet downstairs, you put all your stuff in, it would be super easy. Yeah. So you got kids and stuff and all that,
Right. Thinking about making it.
Yeah, well, good luck on that one.
Well, cool. This is all great stuff. I thought I'd give a quick shout out to our mutual buddy who introduced us, John Meyer, who lives in, I think, Germany.
Oh, yeah, living in Germany.
And he's kind of like a dude.
He's a world traveler.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Big Lebowski.
Well, he's got the sweater.
Except he's successful.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He's got the sweater,
Yeah.
I mean, he wears that thing all the time.
I know.
He even wore it during his wedding.
He wears it well.
He does wear it well.
Yeah. Just needs a little longer hair.
Yeah, I know. Well, old John, he's a character traveling the world and just loving life.
We'll have to get him on the next time you're on. Next time he's
back in the States.
The States, traveling around, selling energy for.
Could have to lure him back somehow, right?
So, John, if you're watching, hopefully you are. Thanks for introducing us. Luke, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
Fun, Luke. Yeah. Bruckner, Bunbury & Associates, realtor out of Madison. Check out his Airbnbs if you want.
Sure.
Give him a call. But this has been the Snod Pod with John Snodgrass, your mortgage resource, where we're talking real estate, mortgages, Airbnbs, and beyond. Thanks for watching.